Everyone to this month's Q&A, the Marketing with a Book and Speech, and this is about ways to get paid to speak. And Nona Prather and I have just come out with the book 24 Ways to Get Paid to Speak. Nona's the lead author on this. She is a speaker's booking agent, so somebody who actually gets people booked. And as much as Nona would like to say, and I'd love to say, is, oh, the solution is easy. You hire Nona and all problems are solved. It's not that way. You have to set Nona, or I don't know anyone else like Nona, but you'd have to set them up for success. So Nona, that's what I wanted to turn over to you to start with, about, what are the solid things we need to do to be successful, to actually get paid to speak. And so some of our definitions, so people know, is often I'm not paid a fee, but I exchange sales of my books to speak. Or other times I'm flown in and my expenses are paid, and it's in front of a target-rich audience that I would pay to be in front of them, but they're actually paying me to be there. These all count for getting paid to speak. So with that, Nona, why don't you give us some great tips here, and then we'll open it up to a Q&A.
Okay, perfect. Great. Thanks. So it all started for me 30 years ago. When I was 8 years old, my dad, who he was working as a lineman for AEP, American Electric Power at the time, he started getting more and more requests from his superiors asking him to do safety training and speeches and training other people be on their safety team. And so he found that he really enjoyed actually giving instruction to other people and being on the stage. So then he decided, I can do this as a profession. He joined NSA, I think was the first, or Toastmasters, I think, and I know he was president for a while of his local NSA chapter, National Speakers Association. So, but he really, when he went into it, he did not know about the speaking industry, how it worked, how to do it, really nothing. So he had to learn on his feet on how to do this. And there was a lot of trial and error. And it was not an overnight success. I tell a lot of people this. People will say, they'll sign up with me and they'll say, okay, so how many bookings are you going to get me a month? Like immediate. Well, that's not the case. It takes, I always say, give me 3 to 6 months. And that's when we start to see responses. Because it actually, whenever you have your materials and you are presenting yourself as a speaker, it takes 10 to 12 touches with that decision maker before they actually feel like they know you well enough to bring you in. So I just remember my dad, whenever I would leave for school at 7 a.m., come home at 4:30, he would still be on the phone calling out of this big, massive book of associations. And he would call every single association he could think of to try to sell his safety training and OSHA training. And then he's written like 12 books by now. So, but it took him a good 5 years to get to his financial goal for his speaking, and to where people were ringing him and he didn't have to be calling 24/7 whenever he was home. But he quickly realized that it takes a team to really build a speaking business. A lot of people think that, oh, speaking business is a one horse show. It's just me by myself. I'm doing everything. All I have to do is tell people I'm a speaker and I'm magically an expert, but it doesn't quite happen like that. So we would come home after he did all of his calls and I would end up mailing his books, stacks of his books for him. And then I started working for other speakers as well. And he would come home with a stack of business cards as well and hand them to me. And so I put together his, at the time we were just using Excel spreadsheet because CRMs weren't really a thing, in the early 90s. So I would be typing those in at 8, 9, 10 years old. So before I even went to typing class, actually in school, I was already a master because I was doing it for my dad already. And I already knew how to work Excel and all of that because I just learned it through the family business. So it was, I tell everyone I've had every job in the speaking industry, because then I started also selling books in the back of the room for him and introducing him at events. And I loved traveling with him. It was really fun. So I learned a lot from him growing up. And then now that I have my own booking agency, I do things a little differently, but I help the same type of people. I bring a team to my clients so that they can have a team set up already for their needs. So we do the lead research, we do the first call, we do all of the touches in between, negotiations, everything to get them there that way, because it takes a lot of work and a lot of follow-up, and it really is relationship based. It's not just me doing everything as the booking agent. I have everyone, they send out postcards, they connect with someone on LinkedIn is very important, connecting social media. So, and then I help before we actually get to that point where we're actually marketing and actually pitching them to events, getting all of their marketing materials ready. So if they need a book, I send them to Henry. If they need branding help in their, I send them to Lisa Apolinsky. I send them, we have a ghostwriter, Des Thornton, who helps them get all of those together. Their one sheets, we get those together, which are really important. Because that's kind of like, you know, when an actor comes in and they give you their headshot and their all of their materials. That's what the one sheet is. It has the description, it has the audience takeaways, what they're going to learn, your bio, your contact information. We have to have all of that. And then also in this day and age, I also help people get demo videos together. I'm sorry, my dog is terrified of storms. So yeah. So anyways, so we also help with demo videos as well, which doesn't need to be a long drawn out thing. So like I always tell everyone, fake it till you make it. You can go to your local high school and borrow their stage until you get, because they need to see what your presence is before they bring you in. So they want to know that you're just not going to stand at a podium on stage and just read from your slides. They want to see that you're engaging to the audience, that you're, you know, they want to see what they're purchasing before they actually purchase. So that's the importance of a demo video. And then everything needs to be streamlined with their also like LinkedIn social media pages needs to say that you're a professional speaker. And I know Devin can help people get together their LinkedIn's as well. So she, you know, is an expert in that and connecting with the right people. So it's really, there's a lot that goes into it in the background when people want to be a professional speaker that you just don't understand until you really get into the industry. And another thing about the industry is my biggest pet peeve for sure is whenever I get on the call with a client who says, I want to be a professional speaker. What should I speak about? What's selling? Okay, that's the wrong question. It's what are you passionate about? For me, I grew up in the speaking industry. I grew up selling speakers even at 8 years old. So obviously that's what my speaking is about. And that's what my book is about. That's my passion. I love helping business owners find those events where they can get more speaking. But if someone says, what is the current topic? That's just not a good question because you're going to be chasing it. It was resilience at one point. Then now currently it's AI. So technology is selling really well right now. Yeah. But during the pandemic, it was team building and virtual teams. Well, that's of the past. Before that, it was authenticity. Now, if you say I speak about authenticity, it's just not going to work because that's things of the past. So you're going to be chasing that current topic if you're trying to do that. So that's why I always say you have to have passion. You have to have your what you're going to be an expert in, and that's what you really need to try to sell, not try to chase the current topic of the time. So I think those are my points.
I'm going to add 2 points and then open it up for Q&A. And the first point is, and somebody who's on this call asked me something about, what is this family that you've created?
Yeah.
It takes a team. We call it the family.
Yes.
But all those names she's mentioned during the last 9 years, we've vetted, we've worked together. We know what people are the real deal and want to help each other to accomplish this. So as Nona said, nobody does this alone, and it takes a team, and it takes different members of the team at different times. So great point there. The second thing is the key to me is also you have to find your niche. Right now, the niche I'm pursuing a lot are agency owners. So this is marketing with a book for agency owners. If you don't have a copy, I'll get you a copy because chapter 5 is the 10 questions you use to find your niche. Niche in the United States, niche in Canada, by the way. So that's not the only word we disagree on how to pronounce. From A to Z. Yeah, well, that's one of the differences. So, but the niche, and Karl Potter found the niche in safety and went deep. And as things change, he can adapt his safety knowledge, as she was talking about, like, if Karl wanted to, Karl could talk about safety and AI. Give him a week or two, and he'll wow you on that. What could that be for you? What is this group of people that you love helping so much that you'd be happy doing that for 20 years? Okay, with that, and also Devin was mentioned. Devin's our VP of production and really our web marketing rock star, back-end rock star. And if you have questions on that, any question about publishing a book or speaking, we're happy to have it. So you can put questions in the chat. Oh, I wanted to invite everybody to also, we don't promote on these calls, but do put who you are and a phone number, because people will want to talk to each other offline. You might want to LinkedIn with each other. So I invite everybody to do that. So you can do a question, or if you want to just raise a hand, either a real hand or that. I see, teach me how to pronounce it, Ms. Cochran. Oh, you're on mute.
Okay. Hi. I'm Siobhan Kara Cochran.
Siobhan.
And I'm on LinkedIn. My name it means God's grace, and it means fairy. I'm super excited that it means fairy, because some of my favorite people are fairies that sprinkle fairy dust. Anyway, so Nona, I have a couple questions. So I am, I've got like, oh my God, let me see. This is what I talk about. I talk about, okay, so I've got suicide to sobriety. I've got how to fall on your face with grace. I love to talk about failure, how to master failure. I'm a master in failure, by the way. And I love to talk about, I've got Come and Clean. That's about my real life life as a sexaholic. And I was a sexaholic with the only female sexaholic, until one of my brothers with a full on beard transitioned to a woman in recovery, a sister in recovery. Then I also have, I've got Justice ? It's a real life story about how I became an attorney to free my brother from jail for 4 counts of attempted murder. And then I studied, and I learned that to do that by studying trial advocacy with the Brooklyn DA who prosecuted him.
Okay, you got a lot. So
yeah.
Let's just pick one. So the suicide to sobriety.
Oh yeah.
Why don't you talk about that? Because I know I'm thinking of Frank King and other people.
Oh, I talked to Frank. Yeah. I had to put that call up, but so but wait, can I just finish up with Nona really quick with the question?
I need a question. There's a lot of statements.
Here's the question. And my question is, Nona, so I am not a writer. I am a speaker. And I'm ready to go. Pete Vargas pulled me on stage just the other day. He coaches Tony Robbins, and he's like, "You're ready to go. You're going to win the Great American Speak Off," and I will. And I'm also going to win the 2024 World Championship of Public Speaking with a speech called Crazy. I jumped in as a Toastmaster with 2 weeks of thing. I was terrified of public speaking. I got over it by entering the World Championship of Public Speaking. I placed 3rd at district level, and I'm ready to win it next year. So I'm not a writer, but I want to go. Can I take all my books that I have here? And I have it in my notes and everything like that. Can I just go right to Audible? I'm ready to record today. And I'm ready to get booked.
Yep. So actually,
you take that, Nona.
Well, I was going to say one thing about whenever you were saying how you have a bunch of different topics that you can speak about.
Yeah.
He was talking about finding your niche. That's important. You need to have like one that you're really marketing the most. So like, which one are you most passionate about? And that's the one.
I'm most passionate about forgiveness. I can teach people how to forgive the unforgivable. I can also teach people how to surrender, because I had to, and it took me 52 years. And I can also teach people about self-care, because I had to learn all these things. And I believe I've sat, in isolating long enough in my life to really dig down deep. Like, what are the things that really change lives? I can also teach them to manifest. Listen, I'm like nobody you've ever met and nobody will ever meet. Okay. And I know that speaks to everyone, but like, I'm not one person, you know, I'm not going to do one thing. I'm going to cater to whatever I do. I feel the room. I can read the room. I solve problems. I can solve any problem within 30 days. That's what I do. I'm a fairy problem solver of every kind. Throw it to me and I can do it live. I can do a call-in show. I can do, like, I'd be a young, hotter Dr. Ruth. I could be, there's so much I could do, you know? I mean, people have been pulling me on podcasts, and Pete Vargas is, you know, he trains Tony Robbins. He's pulling me for 1 day to 2 days actually to come with him. And he was already he upgraded me. He's like, you know what? You're ready to win this thing. Let's go. Come to Denver. And I'm in it, you know? So I've been waiting 52 years for this.
Yeah.
You know what? You know what? Another great title is one day to day one. And that was inspired by The Rock. Like, are you going to do it 1 day or are you going to make this day one? Right. I'm big about that. That's me.
Yeah.
So thanks for coming and asking that. A lot of energy. Love the passion. Again, and I'm
funny. Larry David. I did my first stand-up for Larry David, and Larry David told me I have the funny. He's like, I've been doing this for a really long time, and you have the funny, and I do. Oh, and I just got an audition for America's Got Talent, and I think I'm going to be the next cast member on Saturday Night Live. But I think I can do it all because I pole vault out of bed at 2 a.m. I'm super excited about my life. I'm very joy-driven. I teach people how to go from being a first of all, I teach people how to go from gold digging to digging for black. Okay, and I'll explain that. And then I also teach people. Yeah.
You know, I need to move it around to have other questions. So I got to be the taskmaster.
But she didn't answer the question. Nona, can I do that? Can I go right to Audible?
Oh, that's
the book. What's that?
That's okay. That's probably for him. There's two different things on that. There's can you and should you. So Devin could answer the can, but you need we need a book to read. So you need a manuscript to do that. I
disagree. I'm going to do it the reverse. I'm going to record it first, and then someone else can type it up. How about Devin can type it up?
Well, that's called the talking to text strategy for creating a book. It's one of 9 ways to create a book. But you also you're going to need editing with that. Every book can be better with editing. Yeah. And so in all my research, people still want a physical book. There's a difference between people who I get people who let me just go to ebook. I'll just go straight to Kindle. Let me do this. Well, there's a psychology for people paying money to us to solve their problems and do interventions for them. And I think the best thing for us would be, I'd be happy to have a 45-minute strategy call with you.
Yeah, that sounds good. All right, we'll move on.
So,
we'll move on.
Let's set that.
Okay, thank you.
What other questions do I have from the field? Yes, Margie.
Hi, Nona. Nice to meet you. And I'm excited actually to read your book. So my question is, I'm looking for a niche within a niche. So I'm a speaker coach, and my target is small business owners or entrepreneurs who want to grow their business through speaking. So a standard industry conference might only have a small, slice of those people who are interested in learning more about how to speak. Any suggestions about that type of, striated niche? Oh, you're on mute.
Sorry, I was on mute. Focus on what industries you really want to help, which usually starts off with where did you work in the past? Was it retail? Was it insurance? Was it, and start with those to really find your niche on how you can really help those industries. That's how you become the expert. So I hope that helps. Yeah, start off with the industries that you really want to help, and not just like say CEOs. I speak to CEOs. Well, that's too broad, but like CEOs of what industries do you want to help?
Yeah. So I do. I mean, I've kind of niched myself into dentistry.
Yeah, perfect.
But then finding those people within that universe who want to become speakers.
Yeah.
Are there strategies to find that niche within a niche that you?
definitely social media, look on, there's lots of groups for different, I know the dental industry is really big. Like you said, Frank King is a really big speaker in the dental industry. There's one conference that happens every year. I think it's in California. Henry, you probably know who I'm talking about. Vanessa.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Vanessa's out in Phoenix, and I believe Margie just came back. Her conference is now in May in the Phoenix area.
Yeah, so I'm
Oh.
pretty familiar with the ones in dentistry. I guess what I'm looking to do is now move into maybe some parallel ponds
Yeah.
and find those opportunities. And I just don't know how to quite go about those searches.
Yeah, and associations are a really good place to start. Like there's lots of dental associations, but also other associations and industries. I always say pick 2 to 3 industries that are gonna really resonate, and those are the ones that you need to research the most. And associations always have meetings. They have quarterly, annually, and so those are really good places. They hire speakers more than like corporations do, and that's how you can get into the big speaking and really expand, is to start off definitely looking a search for associations, which I should put it in the associationexecs.com is a really good place to find like the meeting professionals. So executive directors are the ones who hire for that.
Okay.
So yeah, that I would definitely research it. There's an association for absolutely everything, like Coin Laundry Owners Association. Like there's an association for everything. So
Margie, if I could go to your question, and I don't know if you know Frank yet, but we could introduce you, but it might just be checking out his website or an email in that.
Well, I
He's
actually
figured out six different groups that are related. So you have the dentistry in common. I would look at what his other ones are, because he has found people who will pay for speakers in this area. And so you and Frank are non-competitive.
yeah, for sure.
And you're in the Indie Books family together. So
I've actually coached Frank and he's coached me.
great.
Oh,
So if you could ask him the question about where has he found these industries, and you could see if these might be good for you too. We don't have to have just one super niche and that's all we get. You
Right.
develop different brands for the different
Mhm.
niches or niches, and you can go in that direction. You know, I see some people on here like Craig Lauder, trusted advisors, but if you break that down, there are financial advisors, there are attorneys, there are strategic and management consultants. There are several, and as Nona says, they all have different gathering places, and they all have different people who can be your advocates into these other areas.
Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome. And Devin, you're watching chat for me.
I got a question.
Dr. Swavely,
Yes.
not Sue.
Not Sue. I'm using my wife's computer.
I see. I got it.
So I'm Steve Swavely. I run a business called Evolution Leadership Coaching, and I'm the author of the forthcoming book, Ignite Your Leadership, targeted for publication middle of June. So I'm excited about that. My question is, I hear, and I've read your book. I love it. It's a great book.
Awesome.
It's one of the things I see is that there's a tendency to define niches by the population that is like the associations, like engineers or coin-operated laundry businesses. Is it also possible to form a niche based on a topic area? And here's where I'm headed with this. My expertise is in the neuropsychology of leadership, and that obviously has a broad application to lots of areas. But I'm wondering if that could be my niche rather than, say, engineers, for example.
Yeah, you're still going to have to pinpoint who hires speakers and where. So like when industries hire that type of talk, So then you just have to do research on what industries do hire that topic for their conferences, which a way to look at that is who did they bring in the past? What speakers that, if there's another speaker that you're similar to, then that would be the ones that you would need to target. So we do a lot of research on what past speakers have come into different events. Yeah, so it's still, you still have to look for those specific industries just because that's where the money's at. And those are where, you know, they have, but there's just so many opportunities though. There's so many different corporations, businesses, associations, universities that all need that topic for sure. Yeah.
Dr. Steve, you have my permission to handle an inbound sales call from anyone.
Mm-hmm.
You do not have my permission to market to everyone.
Yeah.
I think you've given me
there
that
are
advice
14
before,
million
Henry.
businesses in the United States. So we're going to go after, well, we could put those into 9 different major categories. Okay, that's a start, but then we can go down deeper. And let's just take finance, real estate, money, banks. That's one major category of the 10. Well, those are totally different groups when you talk to banks versus when you talk to financial advisors and wealth managers versus when you talk to insurance companies versus, and to Nona's point, it starts with where have you been? Who have you helped? I know you have definite industries where you have been and you understand their problems, and your examples that you come up with can be it. Now, that doesn't mean somebody's not going to find you and say, "Oh, brain scientist," and his topic is how to get more out of leaders. Yeah, we want you. Or one of us might recommend you to somebody when they say we're looking for that. But it's not the way to market. You're looking for a group that there's 2,000 to 10,000 businesses. I'm working with an author right now, and I'm really encouraging them to target construction businesses in the United States with revenues of 5 to 100 million, because I know there are 6,800 of them. I know where they gather. I know how to get a list. I know how to reach out to them on LinkedIn. Now, we've also looked at the psychographics of that industry. And right now, to what Nona was saying, is they're grappling with AI. They are way behind on the AI curve. And the businesses that don't adapt this are going to be gone.
Yeah.
So it's a hot topic for them, but they don't want an AI in general speaker. They want somebody who understands them. And this author I'm talking about grew up blue collar, and he's a professor now, but he started off working in construction and has trained construction managers through his career. Okay, so I want to say that's where he needs to go to hunt.
Got it.
I just thought of an analogy that you guys might appreciate. So you know how in Marvel they have the multiverse, but everyone starts out in their own universe?
Yes.
And then they grow to different universes. It's kind of like it comes from here, but then someone may notice you from somewhere else, and then it just kind of grows and branches out. But everyone has to start in their own universe.
Okay, we got to tell you how much we love Nona. And when we came together like 9 years ago, and Nona and Devin were together, and they found out they're like the same age. They're both twins. They never knew a day when they weren't working in the family business. Devin said, we're watching TV and we're putting stamps on postcards. That's what we did. And also we embraced the nerdness of Marvel and DC. So thanks for that, Nona. Another question out there. And I'm looking at people like Jean, and Jean, could you just, because you do have this wired, I think, Jean, just tell people who your people are.
First of all, my book, Selling Your Confidence, Forging a Successful Career from Mint Cookies to Martinis, tells a little bit about my sales experience from selling Girl Scout cookies to adulthood. And now I help women who have confidence in selling to improve themselves. So my ideal audience is women who need help, and there are a lot of them out there. And I'm speaking to women. I'm going to like entrepreneurial groups of women who are like in workshops, and they're being helped by like state and county funded groups to get their businesses going. I mean, I'm really looking for one-on-one coaching and that sort of thing. I show up, show them my book, and the director's like, you need to speak to these women. They have so many confidence problems. They love their business, but they can't sell it. So I'm trying to really find my niche for that type of person. And the book is really helping so much. And then the cookie part is great because now I'm going to be speaking to Girl Scouts on a boat in the harbor in Baltimore, because they sold 1,000 boxes and it's their end of year event where it's like, hey, we're going to be applauding these girls. We want you to speak to them about how selling can really be a career path for them. So I'm so excited about that. I do get a brunch out of it. I'm not getting paid, but you know, it's a good.
That is awesome.
I wanted to get into the Girl Scouts.
You'll be.
Pardon me?
I think the role model. You know,
yeah, exactly.
Doing
That's
this,
what they're looking for.
She's an author. She's speaking. She's doing these
Right.
things. She's had this successful career. So I wanted to bring you in. Thank you for. It's not an industry. This is another way. And you'd say, well, women are half the planet, but it's women in sales who have a confidence issue, and she can unpack why they have this confidence issue, but it's the feedback the world is giving them. You know, it's not positive, hey, you can do it. So glad you're here. It's not that. So now think of all the different companies would say like, yeah, it's so critical that we have somebody who comes in and either gives in a keynote an intervention to give these people a shot in the arm, or a series of trainings to help them from someone who's been there, done that, and understands it. So there's also pivots that she can do for diversity and inclusion. A very controversial topic, by the way, in the nation right now. Controversy is not bad. In journalism, we know controversy can be your friend, because controversy means let's get different opinions on something out there. So I just wanted to share that we're not just talking about demographics and numbers, and there's 6,800 construction companies between 5 to 100 million. It's not just that, but it's also what are the issues that they have and group. And that's sort of to the point of, can you specialize on topic? I think you can specialize on problem solved for a certain group of people. Women in sales is that group of people for Jean. Okay. Any other questions that we see right now? And being a former professor, if you don't ask questions, I'll start asking you questions. Oh, the chair recognizes Claire Price.
Thank you, Henry, and thank you, Nona. I've got the book too, and I'm about halfway through, and it's brilliant. It really is. It's so needed, very practical. You know, so many of these are not. My question is this: do you have a preference, or do you prioritize virtual speaking over live speaking? And is there a cost difference in terms of how much the speaker would be paid?
Yes, there is a cost difference. So I just sold one this week. It's at $3,000, which is pretty normal, $3,000 to $5,000 for a virtual talk. Of course, it depends on the corporation. A lot of them still ask for free events. You still get that. I mean, probably more than half of the events that we get asked for, they ask for volunteers. But yeah, $3,000 to $5,000 for a virtual. But then, it goes with the economy as well. So of course, 2 years ago it was 100% virtual, and then it started lightening up a little bit. Now, currently, I would say it's 25% virtual, 75% in person. People are back in person. And even if it's a hybrid event, the speaker, they usually want them to come and be in person, because then they get the recording and all of that. They're in control of all of that. So it's hybrids are really popular, probably more than strict in person or strict virtual. So it just depends on the economy, how things are going, and what people prefer, what they can do. But yeah, there's more virtual now than there was, before 2020, because before that it was just kind of unheard of, kind of a different. So yeah, it's really a mix right now, and it just kind of comes and goes depending on what's going on in the world.
Can I ask one follow-up question? Are there specific concessions you should ask for when you're negotiating your speaking? Like, for example, I want to make sure I can get books in the back of the room, or can I bring handouts? What are some of the specific, ways that you can increase your visibility when you're speaking?
Oh yeah, for sure. I use books as negotiation tools all the time. So I'll say, I usually do like 30% off the price, like the retail price. And that's usually my go-to, is if you're attendees, or if you buy books for your attendees beforehand, you get 30% off the price. Or if you want to buy a set number at cost, and then everyone else can buy, if we can sell books while we're there, and there's usually special prices. But yeah, I definitely use negotiation tools all the time. And I always I say my typical day fee is this. So I never say my fee is this. Like, it's not a 1 hour keynote for $10,000. It's a day fee, so that they know they have you for the whole day, which also means, which I feel like my speakers that I represent stand out from other speakers as well, because they don't come in, do the event, and then leave. They come in the night before, they meet with the meeting professional, they do their speech, and then they go to the lunch, they go to the networking event in the evening. It's not a come and go type of thing. You have to be there to be able to network and just be personable and relatable. And so I tell all of my speakers, if you're not okay with that, then we're not a good fit to work together, because you're also representing me while you're there as well. So I hope that answered the question.
Some of us come in 2 days before the event.
Yeah.
I am not going to let Southwest Airlines or American Airlines screw up a relationship for me. And
exactly.
Yeah, I was speaking in Chicago on a Tuesday. I got there on a Sunday. Oh, did that cost me more? It did. This was advice that I'd gotten from Nona and people like Patricia Fripp, past president of the National Speakers Association, that's what pros need to do. So I'll work a day in the city that I need to be in, and just work out of the hotel room there, so that I'm calm, cool, collected for that breakfast meeting the next day. And to Nona's point, and I wanted to reiterate it, we're there for the day. We're there early. We leave late. We show we care. We're not one of these people who are like it's a raid on, it's a strategic strike, like the Israeli raid on Entebbe. We're in 17 minutes, we're out in 17 minutes, boom, gone. That is not productive for us.
I also let meeting professionals know that my speaker is going to be there, like you said, the night before. So it's like, if their keynoter gets sick, if their keynoter gets stuck in the hotel, hey, you've got a speaker there that can take over, and they appreciate your flexibility. And that's happened a lot. That happened at VPPPA for Frank. And then he ended up, he was a last minute fill in as the keynoter, even though I booked him as a breakout. And then he ended up getting 5 other VPPA events because he filled in, and because they were so appreciative of him filling in, and that really helped him get into that industry. And that was because he was there and available, and they said, hey, do you think you have a speaker? And I was like, yeah, Frank will do it. And he was able to fill in at the last minute, and it was a game changer for his business.
Thanks, Nona. looking for a question. Well, without a question, Craig and Claire, why don't you tell everybody about the live event we're going to do July 31st in Chicago, and what all that's about. Craig, you want to take the talking stick first?
Sure, I'd be happy to. Thank you very much, Henry. On July 31st, we're having members of the IFF team speak on a variety of topics. It's also going to be used as my book launch, or I should say, Henry and my book launch called Trusted Advisor Confidential. But the very smart thing that Henry did, he also surrounded himself with other great speakers like Frank King, Nona, Claire, you're going to be there. And I think we've got, what, 4 or 5 additional speakers to pretty much round up the day. So yeah, we really feel that that's going to accelerate the attendance, because you're going to get to see a lot of experts in one day.
Yeah. We're also testing the waters, everybody, because it's a showcase for us, and it's invitation only. We're putting 18 people in the room who can also lead to other bookings for us to get on stages in front of right fit prospects. So that's key on it. The other thing is, we keep Frank is like the person who's in the room who's not in the room, but Frank encouraged me that we're going to video it and turn it into programming and shows, because that's going to be the gift that keeps giving for us. So it's not just the 18 people in the room and the groups that they represent, it's a wider audience. So Claire, tell them what you're going to talk about.
So Claire Price, the author of Smart Marketing Execution, and I'm going to be talking about time savers in marketing execution for people who busy, trusted advisors. People always are, need more time in the day. That is my topic. Henry informed us that we can't use PowerPoint, which terrifies me. So I'm going to be working very hard on doing that. But yes, so the focus, I think, is really, and I think this is what's going to make the event really special. It's on education. It's really every one of the speakers, I believe, is dedicated to providing that nugget, 1 or 2 key nuggets of information that will change the way that these trusted advisors feel about themselves and their business. And I'm really very honored to be part of it.
Thanks. Well, and Steve and Matthew speak on leadership, different flavors of it. We're looking at putting something together on the East Coast for some of our leadership speakers. So the same thing. So there's a lot more power when we market together, and you can't recommend a speaker unless you've heard them speak. So some of the reasons we do these Q&As is we call these speaking events for everybody, because then you could recommend a Craig or a Dr. Pam. Dr. Pam is on caregiving, and and Angie is also on something related on this. I would call it mental health. So very important topic today. I think we're better when we market, and I guess I'll say hunt. When we hunt as a group, we hunt as a pack. I'm not sure that's a great analogy. Devin will debrief me on that one. Devin also represents the HR department at Indie Books. So I get notes on my analogies. But
I think hunting as a pack is a good analogy.
You like that one?
Yeah, I like that.
Okay. Well,
Devin may not like it, but
I grew up on a farm. I'm really more of a farmer than a hunter. I made a cheap divorce joke once in one of our seminars, and one of my authors called me out. She says, "Henry, how long have you been married?" I said 43 years. She says, yeah, you don't get to make those jokes. So, yeah, which I'm glad I do not have credibility for those jokes. Okay. Margie, who is a PowerPoint ninja and an authority on that subject, we can have the sidebar conversation while I'm not letting Claire use her 20 minutes with PowerPoint in Chicago.
I accept the challenge.
There you go. There you
Did you see
go.
any links?
So I am not blanket opposed to it. I've seen it used very well. Time and a place. This isn't the time or the place because we've got to move this along really fast. Okay. Thanks everybody. Any other questions for the good of the order? Devin's going to be sending out a recording and on this. Also, I'm not sure if there's any resources that we can send out on this attached to it. Devin, I'll let you think about that. Again, Nona, thanks for coming today and sharing the wisdom. We appreciate it. And oh, Craig, you've got your hand up.
Yeah, I have a question for Nona.
Okay.
Every one of us is interested in being a thought leader, and our targeted audience, if we're targeting correctly, wants to hear something they haven't heard before. How far in the future can we talk about a subject matter without being just so far in advance that people just shut down on us?
Oh, good question. So I always say, well, with my selling point is the one sheet, you have your audience takeaways, the audience are going to learn this. And so they need actionable steps that they can use like the next 6 months, the next year, something like that. So probably the next 6 months or year, because that's whenever I have, because then they have their quarterly, their yearly, those are when they are, having these events. So I think, yeah, if you give them actionable steps that can last them that long until the next time they need to bring you in for the next actionable steps. That's what I think.
Thank you.
And groups will have you back.
Yeah.
If they see you adding value like that and you're not a one-trick pony, you will come back.
I tell people always to be upgrading. Every time you do a new speech, your speech is going to be a little different than the last. You're going to do something different. You're always improving, or at least you should be always improving every time you do an event. So always be updating your info, your one sheet. It's not a one and done, use that same one for the next 5 years. That's not how it is. It needs to be updated every single time you do a speech. Yep.
Anything else? Well, with that, I see our time's up. Thank you for joining our Marketing with a Book and Speech Q&A. And again, thank you to Nona, and thanks to everybody for participating today. And we hope to see you next month. Our next one will be July 6th. Devin, do you know the topic? If not, it'll be on a website real soon.
It's in my email, but I can't remember what it was.
Magnificent 7 Ways to Market a Book.
Oh, the Magnificent 7. So those are the top 7 ways we've researched to market with a book and a speech. And we'll go over our new findings on all of them. One of our new findings is the number one thing to do, which is small scale seminars. We have found this Q&A approach works better than just trying to get people to hear you give a 45-minute seminar. Angie?
Did you say something about June 15th and 16th to mark on the calendar? What was that?
Thank you. That is for we do 3 a year of our author retreats, where Devin and I spend 2 days, and it's not theory, it's conversations about your action plan. How are you going to do more small scale seminars? How are you going to get booked as a speaker? Nona comes in and shares knowledge, and some other people. How are you going to get a TEDx talk? I think Frank's going to visit with us. He's done 9 TEDx talks and is just a machine on getting people booked into these.
So how do I sign up for that?
That'll be an email to Henry and or Devin.
Okay.
That's included in your program. So,
Okay.
yeah, if you're not an Indie Books author, it's $1,000 to spend the 2 days with us.
No, this is a virtual in with you, or is it?
Virtual, yeah. We quit
Okay.
doing. We used to do these live, loved them, but
You put it
it cost you windshield time flying here. Cost you
Yes.
$1,000 by the time you got done with an airfare and hotel. And
Right.
we just went to virtual, and then all our speakers, it's easy for them to come in. Nona, I
Wherever we
asked her
are.
to come in for 15 minutes. Now
Yeah.
once a year we do the Indie Family and Friends Forum. That's going to be next March 1 and 2. That is in La Jolla. It is at a hotel, and there is just power in getting you all together.
Yeah.
And we're doing that. We're going to be doing a virtual forum. I think this is the announcement, October 20th, and that'll be virtual. It'll be online, and we'll be together, I think, for about 3 hours that day, and you'll be introduced to different speakers, and you'll get to talk about what you're doing and network with each other, hear from some
Great.
of our people, because it's about relationships. It's
Yes.
not about strangers on the internet. Nona, can I get an amen?
Amen.
and Nona's, our team member going out there making those relationships, so you can come in and it's a teamwork. You get tagged in by
Yeah.
Nona, and I've worked with Nona, and then
I love
she
Nona.
sets us up. That's right. Well,
She's
what's not
just
to
pleasant
love?
to work with. Not doting
Yeah.
on her here, but she's just very easy to smooth along and work things out, and she's always easy to talk to. So
Yeah.
I love Nona.
She says that because I got her a speaking engagement.
Well,
I
love is
you
conditional,
Nona.
You're
Yeah.
making a money, people like you.
Yeah, that's what I hear.
Nona, I'm writing you an email to recommend someone to you as
perfect, yeah.
we speak.
Nice.
Thank you for joining us, and we look forward to another episode where we do Q&A on marketing with a book and a speech.